We will fight them on the beaches. We will fight them in the streets. We will never surrender. Hello everyone. Today I'm going to be watching Dunkirk in IMAX 70mm presentation. Awesome. Can't wait to see it. Christopher Nolan's been my favorite director since 2010. It should be interesting because I'm not one for war films. I do appreciate them and for what they represent and all that. It's not. See, the thing about war films is war films are generally not like, yeah, I want to go see them. But, you know, this looked really good and it looks really well done. And that's the reason why I really want to see it. I'm a little bit worried though, because my friend saw the film and he did not like it, and he said that the music was basically through the whole thing and it was like really overpowering. I thought it was weird because I was like, wow, I'm just imagining, because I know it was already revealed to me on Facebook that Hans Zimmer does the music for Dunkirk, which I didn't know and I didn't want to know. I wanted to be surprised because right now he's touring in that, so I didn't think he was actually doing the music for that film. So I'm like, is it going to be like, because I started thinking back to all the other Christopher Nolan films, and all of them did have the score throughout. There are some quiet moments, but for the most part the score is definitely present in all of Christopher Nolan's films. Following all the Dark Knight franchise and Memento had music, but I think Memento was the one movie where the music was less presence. Like, it was present, but it was not supposed to be distracting, or not like too, like, it's soft throughout the entire film, if I remember correctly. Inception had the soundtrack was throughout, played throughout, and all that. So I just find it interesting for a war film, he decides to have the score throughout it. But I don't know if that's true or not, because I haven't gone and seen it yet. And so I'm a little bit worried. Is it not going to be that good? I mean, granted, Christopher Nolan has made so many good movies, and even the movies that you would consider bad were, you know, somewhat had some good moments and stuff like that, like The Dark Knight Rises. It should be interesting because this is Christopher Nolan's first war film. I really hope, because the Cineplex in Mississauga, that's the one I'm going to, it says it's labeled as 70mm, but I don't know if it actually is true 70mm projection, because the last time when The Hateful Eight was in theaters, which was true 70mm projection, there was only one theater that had it, and it was all the way in downtown Toronto. But now, for the 70mm presentation, that theater's not listed for 70mm. It's only the theater that's two different locations that didn't have 70mm previous. I did remember when I went to see the Hateful Eight Roadshow, it was very hot in that theater, and it's on the top floor of a building too. So for the whole second half of the movie, they needed to have the doors open, like the exits, which let in a bit of light, and kind of, it didn't totally ruin the film for me, but I kind of wish there was a light in the front corner for both sides, just to let air in. So it might have been a safety hazard, so I'm thinking they might move that Cineplex 70mm to the Vaughan Mills one, and then they have the Cineplex Mississauga one. They got a new 70mm projection, capable of projecting 70mm, but I don't know. So I'm super excited to check it out. Time to watch Dunkirk. I just watched Dunkirk in 70mm IMAX, and it is a great war film. Really well done, really unique story. I don't think, I think there was one older movie on Dunkirk, and then there was a BBC made-for-TV movie, but I don't think they ever, other than those two, I don't think there's any other Dunkirk ones, unless that's a different Dunkirk. I don't know. Anyways, start off with the 70mm. First of all, my first clue was definitely in 70mm, is there was no time play, which is usually at the beginning of the film, like in the advertisements and all that. And they didn't have that at all, which is funny because when I went on my phone, I went onto Time Play app and then hooked it up to the IMAX, and it was still synced with Dunkirk. So at the showing of Dunkirk, Time Play was being played, but they had none of it projected because it was all set up for 70mm. So I was literally the only one playing Time Play, and believe it or not, I actually 100%ed it. Like literally, I got everything correct, not a single wrong answer, because I was the only one playing. Because I went to the theater so many times recently that I was able to guess which one was which. And then when it was showtime, as soon as the following advertisements green thing showed up, I knew it was definitely 70mm because it was so, it had that film grain, it had that projection old type feel to it, and I could see it just from the quality of the rating system for the upcoming trailers. The interesting thing is they showed two trailers. They showed Star Wars The Last Jedi and Blade Runner 2049, which I'm pretty sure are two movies that weren't shot on film. I'm under the impression those would be more digital. So this is the example of they took something digital and then they probably filmed it onto the IMAX roll and then attached it to the beginning of the roll, because they can't really stop one reel and put it on another reel sort of thing unless there's like intermission or stuff like that. So they had either that or it was a separate roll for the trailers. But anyways, it was really interesting seeing something digital and converted to the 70mm, and then watching the film, which was, I saw the end credit, it actually said, was filmed and shot and completed in 70mm slash film, in film general, 35, 60, 70, and IMAX film. So it looked really good when the film started, especially compared to the Blade Runner and Star Wars. You can actually sort of tell the difference. It was so clear, actually. Like as soon as it started with because it started right away with IMAX, it was really big. It was the entire screen, and it looked so real that I was like, holy, like, because I remember seeing that shot in some of the trailers and all that, and I'm like, it looked good on a small YouTube trailer or even a normal theater trailer, but seeing in 70mm, it looked so real. I actually was like, holy shit, I actually thought I could probably walk up into the screen and be there. That's how real it looked. Holy crap. I don't want to talk about spoilers yet. It's really well done. Everything, aircraft battles to the especially the aircraft battles, actually. That's probably the most highlight. And then, like, just what they decide to show throughout Dunkirk. Really good decisions overall. The music, I'm a little bit divided on, just because this is a good example of if you go into a movie with a certain thing or expectation, it affects how you view that film for the first time. Because I went into this film thinking the music might be overpowered, and it's throughout the whole film. So going into seeing the film, during the film, I was thinking most of the time, I was like, okay, is the music too overpowered at this moment, or does it work? Does it work or not? I kind of wish I went into seeing it without knowing that, because if I did, seeing it, would I have noticed on my own? That is the question, and what if that will probably never be answered. I enjoyed the score by Hans Zimmer. the thing is, that's kind of the problem when you try to make a score where it's like so, like it just keeps building. Is there's only so fast you can go and all that, and tense you can really go musically before it just is absolute shit. And Hans Zimmer did a decent job of just balancing it in the sense, because I'm a little back and forth on the audio, because on the other hand, there were some really good music cues and really good music moments with the score and all that. But then other times I'm like, do we really need it here at this moment going throughout? Yeah, I'm pretty sure there's 99% of the song. 99% of the movie is you hear the score throughout. And there was quiet moments in that, but even then, it's still, there was score and all that. I don't know. I think I'm just ranting on about the score at this point. I enjoyed it. I really enjoyed it. I sort of enjoyed it in the same way how Stanley Kubrick, another one of my favorite directors, like each film is sort of different, and then Christopher Nolan, he did a film that's like different each time, and Stanley Kubrick did that one war film, and, well, actually no, technically he did 2, 3, counts first one, but I'm just thinking Full Metal Jacket to the late half of Stanley Kubrick's career, and then late half of Christopher Nolan's career doing Dunkirk. It's sort of parallels there. In case you didn't know it, because I forgot to mention it before, I have not seen Hacksaw Ridge. That's a movie that's on my list that I definitely need to check out. The thing is, I can't compare if Dunkirk is a better film than Hacksaw Ridge, but I'm pretty sure the only few reasons why Dunkirk would probably not be as good as Hacksaw Ridge, because from what I can tell, Hacksaw Ridge is actually based on someone who's actually real throughout most of the film, which I believe that's the way Hacksaw Ridge is. I don't know if that's actually true or not. I haven't seen it. And then Dunkirk, it's more, these are specific fictional people during the events of Dunkirk. So no one here, I think, is actually based on a true person, or that's the impression I get from the end credit. Warning, nothing in this film is all names have been not changed, but all names are coincidental, blah blah blah, fine print, and are not actually based on real people. And if there's any coincidences, they're entirely coincidental. A lot of cast members I recognize but totally forgot the name of until the end credit scenes. But really good choice of cast. Really good choice of cast. And they all did really well. Like, there was nothing bad performance-wise. The thing is, I'm sort of a little bit going into spoilers. Like, I'm not gonna do any major spoilers. But because if you've seen a lot of Christopher Nolan movies, you know a lot of Christopher Nolan movies are totally edited in such a way that it's sort of a little bit all over the place, or he really plays around with time and sense of time throughout his films. And Dunkirk, I was surprised that it was chopped up the way it was. In the very beginning, they do establish I think it was a really neat way of establishing it. They did directly reference what it was, but if you miss that one little detail early on, you might be confused for the rest of the film. That's the only problem with the way they did it. But I really liked it because it was each one had a title. So you started off with the beach, and it said, I think it was called The Mole, Part 1, but it didn't say part, it was just say 1. And it was almost like a textbook, and that's the font and the way they did it reminded me. It's like 1, The Mole, or beach, and then it was like week 1, or 1 week. No, it didn't say week 1, it said 1 week. And then it went to the sea, with the boats, and it was like 1 day, and it said 1 day, and then it finally went to the airplanes, all within the very beginning of the film, and it's like free the air 1 hour. So that right there, because it took me a while to clue in, like I saw what they were, I was like, okay, 1 week. So I didn't clue in what Christopher Nolan was doing, was telling you which events take place over which period of time. For example, following what happens on the beach and Harry Styles, it is, I believe that all takes place within the 1 week. And then the sea with the boat coming in from Britain to save or evacuate people from Dunkirk, that whole storyline takes place within 1 day, and then the airplane took place all within 1 hour, and have all 3 stories stretched out, like not stretched out, but layered in such a way that lasts for the entire movie, which is pretty cool. I don't know if a linear edit of this would have been a lot better, or if they decided to show one story after the other. Start off with the beach, then do the evacuation, and then do the in the air for like a grand finale sort of. But they didn't do it that way, so it's just very. This is the kind of movie that makes me interested in seeing what different version edits of the film would be. Just like how Memento, it's like you got that version theatrically, but I want to see what it looks like when you cut everything in order. I'm still trying to track down that DVD or Blu-ray version of Mementos that had that. And then you got, so for Dunkirk with the music, I would have been really interested in seeing a cut of the film where it's all sound effects and all sound designs and dialogue. No score music. Because I honestly think it might have been really more suspenseful when all you hear is that ocean, just constantly throughout the entire film, except for 1 or 2 moments. Like for example, going a little more in spoiler territory, war-wise, if you know the war and what happened with Dunkirk, you already know this is when the ships, civilian ships, do arrive to pick up some of the soldiers. When they get there, there's a beautiful score moment with Hans Zimmer, and it still stood out, even though the score for Hans Zimmer was throughout the entire film. When it got to that moment, you still realized it was a really special moment from the music, and it stood out really well. But I think it would have had a quadruple type effect if it was all sound effect, war, realism, no score, and then all of a sudden for that moment you have that score brought in. It would probably be an entirely different feel to the movie. But then again, I don't know if there was a very good sound design / recording of sound throughout the film, because having the music throughout, as much as you love the music, because I love Hans Zimmer, I would put that shit on everything if I could, just like Frank's Red Hot Sauce. Not sponsored. It's sort of a little bit of a rookie mistake. Not rookie mistake, but it's sort of amateur decision in the sense of having music throughout. Because music is a great way to cover out edits and sound design that couldn't have been done as well because of the original recording or other reasons. So like, for example, I could do these vlogs with a background little track throughout the whole thing. But I decided not to, because I want to make it's more down to earth, realistic. This is the way things are, except when I do jokes or cutaway gags or stuff that would be not realistic. It gives those more weight than having a score throughout. Anyways, I want to know what you thought of Dunkirk. Let me know down in the comments below. I think it was really good. once again, comparing this film to all the other films Christopher Nolan makes, it's even his worst films or films you would consider bad are actually done pretty well, that you cannot deny how good the film is. And you know what? I love Inception. I love The Prestige. I love Interstellar. It's kind of hard to compete something that's really well made against other films like that. So, you know, I don't want to compare all the Christopher Nolan movies together to see which ones are better. But Dunkirk would be on the lower half of his filmography, in my opinion. But I do acknowledge how well done it was. Once again, let me know in the comments below what you thought. Maybe you have an entirely different position. Maybe you thought Dunkirk was utter shit. Let me know in the comments below if you do. Thank you very much for watching. I want you to have a nice day or night or whatever time you watch this. Have a nice whatever. Thanks again for watching. Check out my other videos if you want. Like this video if you want. Subscribe if you want. It's entirely up to you. No pressure. Thanks again for watching.